pride and joy, but be warned, if you have a conservatory, the government has you in its sights. Tightened planning rules come in from June, which will mean new conservatories will face strict limits on the use of trendy floor-to-ceiling glass. Trendy. Or have to pass complex tests to make sure they don't create excess heat in the home.
The changes are part of a raft of measures aimed at future-proofing new homes against summers, and temperatures predicted to reach 40 degrees Celsius. So, is it time to bulldoze your conservatory to save the planet? Here's what some of you thought.
I think we need to be worried, but I don't think knocking down conservatories is where we should be focusing our energy.
Knock a conservatory down because of climate change. It's not going to change anything, is it?
There should be an overall ban of being able to build them again without permission.
I think that's a bit over the top, to be honest with you. I think they're a good thing, though. A lot of people have got them, love. Many people have got them. Millions have got them, love.
Yes, lots of people have got
them. They do. My mother-in-law's just put a lovely garden room, as they're now called by lots of people, rather than conservatories, on the back of their home, and they're thrilled with it. We're joined now by environmental scientist Angela Terry, who says conservatories are bad for the climate and they should be banned.
And by Siobhan Murphy, an interior designer who thinks there are bigger fish to fry when it comes to combating climate change. Angela, eco-warriors, get your hands off my conservatory. That's what your critics say. Why are they bad for the environment?
Good morning, Susanna. So it's all about how the world is warming. So our planet is getting hotter and hotter and hotter as global warming takes hold. So what we saw in 2019 was temperatures reaching 39 degrees Celsius. By 2050, which is only 30 years away, every other summer will be as hot as that summer. So we're looking at heat waves and unbearable heat becoming regular. And what conservatories do is they concentrate that heat and they act like a furnace for the rest of your house, basically. So they build up heat all throughout the day. So it just makes staying cool in your home much, much harder. So that's a real problem with when we talk about future-proofing, because if a developer's building a house today and putting a conservatory up, you'd assume that house would be around in 30 years' time. So it's about having a no-regret policy. So once they're up, we know people don't want us to take them down, which is fine. Obviously, I'm in my conservatory here. When we bought the house, it was here. So yeah, we're just trying to keep people safe, ultimately,
okay, so hang on.
And deal with what is going to become...
You're saying you're all right in your conservatory is still going to stand, but nobody else is allowed to have one from now on. Is that your point?
So this house came with the conservatory on it. What the new legislation is saying is not to build new ones, because we know the world is getting warmer and warmer. So what you're doing is you're building infrastructure, and we're doing it all around the UK, that isn't fit for purpose for when we have hotter and hotter weather. Okay. So when we have this hot weather, the tarmac melts and all that other stuff, and people get very ill. They get heat stress, and particularly if they're pregnant or old, they end up in hospital because they can't regulate their body temperatures.
All right, so Siobhan, it's sort of for our own safety and our own health that we shouldn't be sitting in these conservatories, because you could get very ill.
I mean, it's just common sense, isn't it? Like, if it's a really, really hot day and it's 40 degrees, then I'm probably going to be outside with my feet in the paddling pool, supping a pina colada. I'm not going to be sat in a hot conservatory, but it's not always hot, is it? So on the days where it isn't hot, I'm coming at it from an interior design perspective and saying, if we've got the conservatory, let's make it a usable space, because, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, we're spending a lot more time in our homes. And, you know, make it into a home office, make it into a bar, make it into a gym or a reading nook, make it into something. So rather than knocking it down, make it into something that's going to be a usable space for the family, rather than, you know, like knocking it down and going through all that expense, spend the money on making it usable and making it more energy efficient.
Yeah, what do you think of the fact that environmental scientists like Angela Terry sit in their conservatories but tell people that they can't have them if they're having a new build house?
I think, well, I think the thing is that with the new conservatories, so conservatories have always got a bad reputation, haven't they? They're always like, you know, people say they're a bit 80s. I mean, I've seen some great renovations of conservatories that were 80s and have been brought to life, brought into, you know, the modern times. But also, you know, with the new conservatories that are being built, there's so much new technology. So there's different roofs, there's solar glass. So I don't think it's a case of not building the conservatories. I think it's a case of, if you want a conservatory, you know, use the modern technology and make it more energy efficient if you want one.
And that's the reality, isn't it, Angela? Because Mark P's been in touch with us, said, I've been in double glazing for 45 years. Conservatories with glass or polycarbonate roofs are old hat now. We use solid insulated roof, which can be enjoyed all year round. It's called a garden room. And isn't it about sort of finding a way of adding that relatively modest in terms of cost extension to your house that brings in more light, that is energy efficient? There are ways to do it.
Yeah, so what we see is there's been quite a big trend for bifold doors, which are floor-to-ceiling glazed glass. And what we find is that people have their kitchens becoming too unbearable to cook in. So it's about all year round comfort. And so there is a real problem with overheating. In offices, obviously ceiling offices, they're using air conditioning. What we can't have because of climate change is people wanting to use glass rooms all year round, because in winter they need heating and in summer they need cooling. It's much better to build better quality.
Yeah. All right, we have to leave it there because we have the Health Secretary.
Angela Terry is literally
So
crazy
thank you very
woman,
much indeed.
but at least we had a balanced opinion.
Just before we get to such a